Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Wednesday, June 23rd. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Minnesota game is in 71 days. The game against Michigan in 157 days. We spent a lot of time at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center this month, but none of the days we were there was even close to the level of talent overall that we saw on Tuesday. There may have been at least 4 or 5 players who end up ranked as 5-star prospects, including the top receiver in the nation for 2023, a 5-star quarterback for 2023, an offensive lineman with just incredible upside, defensive end who Bill Greene has called the fourth Bosa. Not bad for one day of camp. My guests today are Buckeye Scoops Kirk, Barton, and the aforementioned Bill Greene. They were just part of our team at that camp on Tuesday. Bill, let's start with Brandon Inniss. He is ranked as the top receiver for the class of 2023. And to my untrained eye, he sure looked the part on Tuesday.
Yeah, big, strong kid. He's just a great football player. He's not the tallest receiver. And when you think of the top receiver in his class, you immediately think of a 6'4" kid or something. He's not. He's 6'1". And then you think of a kid that's a 4.35 or something. And he's not that. He's 4.55 probably, but he's just a great football player. He actually had a drop today. And people were like, oh, my God, the apocalypse is upon us. The end of the world is near. Like, he just doesn't do that. He's got hands that are like jaws of life. They're like steel, so runs great routes, can separate. He's just a great football player. I actually thought Carnell Tate today was just as good, as Brandon. So, I didn't see much to choose between those two guys. And Carnell probably a little faster, probably a little bit more athletic. Brandon's stronger. And see, Brandon started for a great program in Florida as an 8th grader. You can play varsity as in 8th grade in Florida. And he not only started, he was a star. So he's already got a lot. He's got 3 years of experience in already with 2 more to go in high school. Unheard of to us people in Ohio, but Brandon is further advanced than Carnell would be. But Carnell could catch him and pass him and going forward.
One thing that struck me about Brandon Inniss was just how everything just kind of looked easy. Those athletes, think about Terrell Pryor running and how it just was like, it looked like he was just kind of gliding and all of a sudden he was like 20 yards further down. He's like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
That was Brandon Inniss. He scored a ton of touchdowns in one-on-one drills, made that look easy.
Yeah.
His quarterback overthrew him. He lost his balance. And then he just did this little somersault, popped up, grabbed the football and zipped it 40 yards down the field from the sideline to the hash marks. Keenan Bailey, I think, was the one who turned and looked at me. You play quarterback too? No, he just kind of does it easy. That happened right in front of Kirk. He was shooting video on the sidelines right where that happened. Kirk, am I wrong? He just looked like one of those incredible athletes where everything just looks like it comes real easily to him.
Yeah, he looked like a really developed kid. The fact that he played varsity football in the 8th grade in Florida is amazing. And, he reminded me, physically, he's kind of built like a Mecca. Mecca's quicker, but he looks like a college kid. He's muscular, smooth, and he just, like you said, everything he did was easy. And he was ultra. He's all business on the field, super serious about it. Wasn't really joking. He was out there to get paid, as they say in South Florida, and he was great, man. He's a great kid. Afterwards, we had Mick got him for an interview, and Bank and I talked to him a little bit with the South Florida Express guys. But he's a great kid. I was like, man, I don't think we have much of a shot at landing him. I don't think, but I'd love to get him because I think he's a great kid. And with Brian Hartline, you never know. It could come around to that, but he's a freak show. And I loved his demeanor as much as anything. Being from, they flew in, got off the plane, and headed straight to the Woody and threw the cleats on and balled out. So it was really cool to watch those kids today.
All right, let's get Bill's thoughts on where the Buckeyes stand in this recruitment right now. Is that kind of a long shot, or are they maybe more in it than you might think? And then also, I do want to let you share a little bit more about Tate and just your thoughts on him as well.
Yeah, today. With Brandon, he's heading into his junior year, and for a Miami kid, that recruiting is an eternity away. They don't get serious about it till, I don't care if they can make 2 or 3 commitments, but they don't get serious about it until midway through their football season as seniors. So anything could happen. I think Ohio State's fighting a really uphill battle. But if I have to fight an uphill battle, give me Kerry Combs or give me Brian Hartline, and I'll stand and fight with them dudes any day of the week because they win those kind of battles. I'll go to war with those 2 guys. So I wouldn't say they're out of it. I wouldn't say they're the favorite. I don't know who would be the favorite. Florida State was his school growing up, for sure. I don't think he's going there. Georgia's definitely made a move early. Oklahoma, he visited Oklahoma last weekend, I believe. So, with Brandon Inniss, his recruitment will be fun to watch, and it'll get serious in October, of 2023. So, or 2022. So we'll see. I like him. Tate, I think Ohio State's getting Tate. And I just feel strongly they're getting him. And I like him. He's got some Jackson Smith Najigba to him, where Brandon Inniss has got more Julian Fleming to him. And you'd love to have both, but I really like Tate. I think Tate is so far away from being what he's going to be, where Brandon is developed. Brandon Inniss is pretty well developed as a player. Carnell Tate is not. And boy, you just look at him and you look at him working with Mickey Marotti and working with Brian Hartline in the Ryan Day offense. And it's like, you got something here with Carnell Tate.
Yeah. And he's at 2023 as well,
yes.
Right? So
yes.
So you've got 2 more years of high school development and then a year or 2 with Coach Mick. So that is a ways off, but there was quite a bit to like with him as well.
Yes.
And neither of you guys got to watch the quarterbacks a whole heck of a lot. So I will give a quick rundown on 2023 quarterback Dante Moore from King High School in Detroit. He's a 5-star prospect. He earned an offer from the Buckeyes after camp on Tuesday. He tweeted that out Tuesday evening that he did earn an offer from the Buckeyes. Corey Dennis was watching him real closely. Quinn Temple was over there watching him real closely. I didn't see Ryan Day over there when I was over there, but he may have come out and watched. I would guess Ryan Day watched him throw in person at some point, even when it wasn't when I was there. Feet look good, real good zip on the ball. Like normally you want to see just the difference. Hey, the ball looks different coming out of this guy's hand than it does everyone else's. That was it. Like I think I tweeted out a video of it. It was just on a line. So I could see my untrained eye could spot the 5-star quarterback in that group, which is always a good sign. So Dante Moore from King High School in Detroit, that's one to keep an eye on. That'll be an interesting question as well after Kyle McCord in 21, Quinn Ewers in 22. CJ Stroud in 2020. Is someone else going to want to sign up to be the 4th 5-star quarterback in a row for Ryan Day? That'll be an interesting challenge. But the in-state schools might not be the guy recruiting him in Ann Arbor right now might not be the head coach of Michigan when he's there. Yeah. So that recruitment may take a turn or two before it's all said and done.
No doubt.
Kirk, I wanted to get your feedback on Luke Montgomery. He's like a borderline top 50 guy for 2023 out of Findlay, offensive tackle. He really hasn't played a whole heck of a lot of offensive line, but I mean, I talked to Bill about him on the midday show that we dropped as a bonus episode. I want to get your feedback on him. What did you see out of Luke Montgomery? He looked pretty impressive to me. He was another guy that was like, oh yeah, you can see it right there.
Yeah, a lot of upside, a lot of athleticism. I said on the board that he reminds me of like a Tristan Wirfs, a guy that'll grow, super athletic, big weight room guy. Obviously plays with LeBron on LeBron's travel team. And he had, a few minorly rocky moments today when I was sitting there with Bank, but he really cleaned a lot of that up. And, he's still learning the position. He's so young. I mean, he's only going to be a junior. So he's got a lot of development to go. And I mean, I can't even imagine what's going to look like next year at this time when he gains. I mean, from my sophomore to junior year, I gained 50 pounds, and it was all lifting and running and, and I went from like 210 to 260. And I mean, he probably won't gain that much just because he plays so much basketball. But I think, all the strength and additional weight, especially in the lower body, will help him anchor and pass pro. And, from the first rep with Brenan Vernon, where, he kind of got beat to the inside, like he took coaching immediately and rectified that. And he shut down the inside moves the rest of the day. And he's real smooth with it. And I had a little talk with him afterwards about kind of, no one's going to be able to run around your corner because you're so fast. So don't really worry about someone running around you, because these guys get paranoid about speed rushes. And I'm like, it's not going to happen with you. So just forget about that. The only way they can beat you is if you set too deep and they go inside. And that kind of the light bulb kind of came on. And I think he'll be a Buckeye. His parent, his dad was there. He's great. The little brother's there. But just a great case. Someone to be really excited about for the future of the O-line for Ohio State.
Bill, you mentioned on that lunchtime show, like he got noticeably better just in the time you were watching him. I mean, that's that's kind of unusual. I mean, normally you see some progress, but that's unusual to be that noticeable in just that short a period of time.
And I noticed what Kirk saw. He did get beat to the inside. Kevin Wilson and Stud pulled him over, told him what he did wrong. Well, I mean, to me, it would be hard to process that in 1 minute before your next rep. And he fixed it immediately. Never got beat to the inside again. So I love seeing the kid. I like seeing kids screw up at camp. And I know people laugh at that, but life's good when everything's going well. I want to see when things are going bad. Can you respond? Can you get it back? Or do you just lose it and the day's shot? Well, Luke took to coaching, kept his wits about him, did exactly what Kevin Wilson and Stud told him to do, and had success. So I love seeing that. I mean, I've seen too many kids over the years that when things are going good, boy, they're amazing. And then as soon as they hit a little bit of adversity, they shut down, they quit, they can't process things, you can't coach them, they fall apart. Well, that didn't happen with Luke Montgomery today. And I loved seeing that.
Yeah. Do you also have Luke Montgomery comfortably as an Ohio State commit, or likely as an Ohio State commit, or is Kirk? Are you a little more cautious than Kirk on that?
No,
front?
I agree with Kirk, and I know Luke, and I know his dad real well, and now they've taken the tour here. They've been everywhere, and Saban offered him at Alabama, and that's heady stuff for a 15, 16-year-old and the dad. But I think Ohio State's going to be darn near impossible to beat here, and I think the relationship with Kevin Wilson is really strong. And, Stud has a great relationship with Luke, and you could tell how well they work together. And I think Ohio State will get him, and I think he's got a chance. The upside there is probably Nicholas Pettit-Frere type upside because of his athleticism. Playing for that LeBron AAU team, they're not taking – I don't know. They're not taking Thayer Mumford to play on that team. That's an elite basketball team. They don't take a football player just to have him on the team. They take athletes, and he is an athlete.
All right, you mentioned that he had an offer from Nick Saban. Another guy who Nick Saban is chasing is Brenan Vernon, defensive end out of Mentor. He's someone I've heard you talk about for, literally years now. You hadn't seen him in a while, though, so how did he look to you on Tuesday?
Yeah, I really liked what I saw. Now, he had some injuries last year that I think really slowed him down and slowed his development. And, I kind of feel, guilty a little bit because, we saw Jack Sawyer and I called him the third Bosa, and then Brennan come along and you call him the fourth Bosa. And that's almost not fair to that kid. And you do something like that and you think you're trying to be kind of cute, but you're trying to convey how much you like the kid. But is that really a thing to do for a 15-year-old? And I kind of feel bad about that. And then the kid was kind of hurt last year. I loved what I saw today. What I saw today was exactly where I thought he would be when I saw him, before he played his first game of varsity football as a freshman. So, and Brennan, again, you've got to remember, he has 2 more years of high school to play. You know what I mean? He's just a baby in terms of development. So the hand placement today, the quickness off the ball, the size, comes from a great family, and I love seeing that too. And, I like everything about Brennan. I think Ohio State's in a battle there. They're in a battle with Notre Dame. He visited Clemson, and that didn't go well. Clemson's not in the picture. Bama would be the third team here after Ohio State and Notre Dame, but I don't think he's an Alabama kid. It's heady stuff to get offered by them. It's an honor. It's something you'll take with you the rest of your life. I don't think he's going there. I think Midwest kid. I think Ohio State gets Luke Montgomery. Gets Brenan Vernon, but they're in a battle with Notre Dame, and it's an academic family too, so that's going to mean something. So, but Larry Johnson, man, that's the chance to work with him for 4 years. That's a tough one to give up.
All right, and Bill, give me one more person who jumped out to you at some point during the day on Tuesday as like, oh, that was someone who we haven't talked about necessarily who really kind of impressed you. Yeah,
the little slot receiver out of Florida that came up with Brandon Inniss kind of gets overshadowed, but Santana Fleming is really good, really quick. Man, he was good. And I want to mention another one too, the same type of player, Anthony Brown, the Springfield, Ohio kid, 2023, trying to get that Ohio State offer. And man, 5 years ago, you offer Anthony Brown, no brainer. Well, now with Heartline, you can go anywhere in America. And Anthony, they don't really offer a lot of slot receivers right now. They like the bigger guys that can play inside and outside. And Anthony's a slot. So we saw him catching punts today, which he did really well. And he caught everything today and showed his speed. Now, 2 weeks ago, we saw him. He had some drops. They asked him to come back and be better. He came back. He was better. Is he going to get an offer? You know, I'd love to see it because he's a great kid. And man, the talent is immense. The speed is great. So Santana Fleming and Anthony Brown is just slot guys. We're both really good today.
And Kirk, I know we were chatting before the show. It sounds like the Bill's friends from the South Florida Express tipped you off on a player to know who was out there. Just one of these absolutely beautiful, like there's just nothing like recruiting kind of moments. So let people know about that one.
So do you remember his name, Bill? It was.
No, I don't think we need. I don't think we should.
Okay.
If we knew it, I don't think we should say it.
But Bill, whatever name we say is probably not his real name anyway. So who cares? You know, it's like we can say his name's Anthony Pleasant or whatever his name is. But there's a kid out there today at one-on-ones, and you know, some of these kids, like it's like a fashion show. That he had like a headband around his neck, like he's Dion, and then he had all orange on, like a parking cone, orange gloves, and he was like 5'7", and you know, these drills are so terrible to watch sometimes because there's no officials. So guys line up off sides on D-line versus the O-line, and then you know these corners pull and grab these kids nonstop, and you know these kids like their shirts are getting. I was like, man, I just take my shirt off so you couldn't grab it. But I mean, you know, their shirts were just destroyed by the end of these reps because they're so. But this kid, every single rep, he's like ripping the shirt across the front of the guys, and I'm like. And then, you know, when the quarterback throws an incompletion, and, you know, he does like the big, you know, no incompletion. And he's like, you know, I'm about that life. And, you know, South Florida's like throwing up his gang signs and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. He's like, he's so entertaining. And then, you know, Bill's guys, you know, the South Florida Mafia that we're standing with, they're like, yeah, you know, he's from Pahokee and he's, you know, 21 years old. And I'm like, 21? I was like, you know, most seniors are 18. 21, you're like a junior in college. I was like, well, how is he at camp? And he's like, he registered and he showed up, and you know, he told Mark Pantoni that he's transferring to Ohio and named a high school that doesn't even exist. And I was like, oh my God, if there's one thing in this world that I love, especially now that I work with Bill Greene, I love South Florida. It's like the greatest thing in the world. It's just a gift that keeps on giving. Because I mean, I love covering these camps with Bill Greene because I just laugh the whole time. Like we can be watching a kid or anything. Like Bill makes me laugh nonstop. And then when he has the South Florida guys up here, it's just like nitrous oxide in the engine. It's like unbelievable how funny it is. But that kid stood out. Brenan Vernon, I know you mentioned it, but I loved that kid. I thought he was great. His parents were great. I talked to him. It was funny because I talked to him. They're like, you know, well, he likes Notre Dame. He likes Ohio State. And I was like, well, you know, it's Ohio State. And, you know, I got my MBA and now I'm in business and I'm part owner of Buckeye Scoop. And, you know, we're the largest Ohio State site in existence and we're killing it. And that was impressive to him because I was like, you know, this is my business. This is what I do for a living. I cover recruiting and hang out with my friends and we talk ball and talk to these coaches and get info. I was like, really, it's a blast. And like, you know, and with NIL and everything, I was like, there's major opportunities in Ohio. I'm sure there will be everywhere else, Notre Dame, Bama, A&M, wherever. But like, you know, if you play your cards right, I mean, you can have a great job and a great thing. And it's a blast. Like I love hanging out with the guys from the Scoop covering camp. Like, it's like the funnest thing in the world to me because I like to watch stuff and say, what'd you think of that, Bank? He's like, oh, that looked pretty good. And I was like, that like kind of confirms stuff because Bank's been doing this for so long that he's seen, you know, freak show, really good players. And that's to make sure I'm not crazy sometimes, but it's always fun.
We saw Enoch.
Yeah, exactly.
Today. We both saw it too. And it took like a split second.
Yeah, he hit that sled and I was like, oh my God. Like
I thought the same thing. I didn't think anyone saw it.
Oh God. I saw it because line coaches in the NFL love the sled. Like they love to see people hit the Crowther sled and see the hits and the lift. And I always sucked at hitting the sled. Like I was like, God, I hate hitting the sled. I suck at it. I don't get the pop like that. Not a lot of guys got the pop like Enoch did, but I mean, he hit that thing like he was like a robot that was made to like quality control test the sled and just hit it perfectly hard, lift it. And I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, I saw the same
That was
thing.
impressive. And it's like, the funny thing about Enoch probably didn't even think anything of it. Because I do that every day. Like, you probably didn't realize, like, me and you're sitting there like, oh my God, that was awesome. But,
well,
it was just cool. Like,
someone asked him to demonstrate the drill, and said, these kids aren't doing it right. Show them how to hit the sled. And it was like a rocket taking off. And it was like, oh my God. I wonder if Kirk saw that. No one saw it. And then I went over to you and said, did you happen to see Enoch hit that sled? You're like, oh my God. Yeah. So that was
hilarious. So that's the fun part about covering camp is like you see some of the stuff you're just like,
right.
This is amazing entertainment. Like, I mean, I love watching these kids do one-on-ones, because like Bank, when you talk about kids going into a shell or whatever after they get beat, like there were guys like Connor Smith. That was the story of his career. Like he got beat in one-on-one pass rush. He had a bad day, which turned into a bad week, which turned into a bad month, which turned into a bad season, turned into a bad career. And like some of these kids, man, they get beat and they're not used to getting beat. Like on their high school teams, they don't, I mean, you remember how good Connor Smith was against McKinley, and it's like, but he never passed block. And you get in there against some of these really like Quinn Pickcock, some of these good D linemen, and like, they kill you, they bull rush you, they put you on your butt. And it just, these kids, you got to have amnesia when you play football. Like you're playing tackle and you give up a sack, you got to forget it. You're playing quarterback, you give up a touchdown, you got to forget it. You drop a pass, you got to forget it. Like, some of these kids are they're too sensitive, and it's like you got to forget it because you don't want that to compound and make one bad play turn into a bad series, a bad game, and that's just part of it. So I always tell these guys, I'm like, look, I saw Larry Allen, the strongest lineman in the history of the NFL, get destroyed by Reggie White, like put on his butt, and he weighed 350 pounds. So it's like, it happens to everybody. Jonathan Ogden gave up sacks to Dwight Freeney. Like, I've seen Darrelle Revis get scorched. It doesn't matter. And that's just the beauty of the game is you got to see who's, not just physically tough, but mentally tough because, you've seen great athletes have terrible games and, the great ones just forget it and move on and just remember that, hey, I'm great. And you can kind of whatever because I'm great. You got to fake it till you make it. You got to fake. And I tell some of these guys, I'm like, even if you're not confident, you got to fake it. You got to fake it till you make it sometimes because, coaches, they're not put on this earth to give you confidence. You got to give yourself confidence because, coaches aren't out here to make you confident. You got to be confident in your own abilities because if you're not confident, then nobody's going to be confident in you. So there you go. There's my speech. So all the guys listening to Morning Scoop can go hit the treadmill and go get an extra 2 miles in. While me and Bank are still sleeping in bed, I'm sure.
One thing that I'm confident in, if you watch Bill Greene's interview with his two friends from the South Florida Express, you will think it is one of the most entertaining interviews you've seen. I was recording that and I was like, I kept checking. I'm really recording this, right? They know I'm recording this. All right, cool. All right, Bill, let people know. Let people know about who you're talking to and what you guys talked about a little bit.
I want to get back one point that Kirk mentioned is I was at the Under Armour Junior Combine. I mean, this is a while ago, and there was a kid there who looked like Ivan Drago. I mean, he was an offensive tackle, and he just looked like. He had the hair, the look. Look, he came out of Russia, like one of their athletes. And he was out of Kansas, and he's in the NFL today. Braden Smith. I'm sure you know who he is, Kirk.
Yeah, for the Colts.
Yes, and he was a fish out of water at the Under Armour camp, and he was like the headline guy at the junior combine. And he lined up in a pass blocking drill, and some nobody out of Florida. Short, fat kid, probably never played ball anywhere, bull rushed him, annihilated him, cleat marked all up through his chest, stepped over him, trash talked him, pointed at him, and Briggsmith did not take another rep the rest of the time. And I thought, well, we're never going to hear from this dude again. But he fought through it, obviously. He's a millionaire today. But I remember thinking that this is the most overrated kid in America, and he's never going to make it. Yeah. He played against, I don't know, little farm boys in Kansas, and he got a taste of from Florida Pahokee type kid, and he didn't handle it well. So you got to fight through it. You got to find a way. And he obviously, Braden Smith found a way, So, but that's that. But to get back to the South Florida Express video, I think it's entertaining. It was like, I think 7 or 8 minutes long. And there's entertainment there, some funny stuff there, but there's a lot of good evaluation stuff too. When these, like I said on the video, when they tell me a kid can play, I know that kid can play. And when they tell me someone can't play, then I got to keep an eye on that kid, and when they tell me a kid's going to a certain school, they're rarely wrong. And again, they were very, they highly think Ohio State is going to keep Jaheim Singletary. And they put a little bit of doubt on Ohio State signing Ryan Turner. So we'll see, with those guys, it's a long way to go on both those kids' recruitments. But, it was good to hear that they felt strongly about Jaheim Singletary. And there are also guys that tell me that, the Jacksonville kids are highly overrated. The Miami kids are the best, blah, blah, blah. They didn't like Sean Wade. They didn't like Tyreek Johnson. But, boy, they both raved about Jaheim Singletary. So that's a guy that Ohio State really needs to lock that one down.
Yeah,
but it was a fun video to make, and I think, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and looking back at some fun recruitments that you thought were going to go one way and then went 180 degrees the other direction. Yeah, there were some fun stories in there. You can find that on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. Just search, I think it was Bill Greene's South Florida Gurus or something like that. It really, really, really fun video. Our insiders can find that on our Ask the Insiders board as well. I'll put up a thread about that because I watched it live. I watched it after I posted it. I was like, I can keep watching this again. This is really good. So make sure you check that one out. Make sure you also check out all of our other great content on a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. Hit the subscribe button and you get notified every time Bill posts something fun like that, or we post a new podcast, or we post a new camp video, or anything else. Kirk is, as we speak, uploading about 1 million videos from Tuesday's camp to YouTube. So that'll all be up there by the time you're watching this. So lots of great content there. It's all free, youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. All you have to do is subscribe and get notified every time we post a new video there. Also, speaking of subscribing, why don't you consider subscribing to BuckeyeScoop.com? We had another fantastic day on our board yesterday. Just fantastic camp content, videos, photos, insight analysis, everything, all in one spot on our Ask the Insiders board. Inside had another info on the commitment of Dallin Hayden. We talked about him a little bit on yesterday's show with Alex Gleitman. He committed on Tuesday, so we had a bunch of stuff on that. But it is going to be, by the way, there's other stuff that's probably going to come in the next couple of weeks. More than one commitment was expected and is expected. And so there's probably more stuff coming. JT Tuimoloau is wrapping up his Oregon trip shortly. We'll be headed to Alabama. We'll have a bunch of stuff on that, I'm sure. There is a ton to talk about all on our Ask the Insiders board. You just have to be a member of Buckeye Scoop to see it all and read it all and be a part of it. So sign up today, and you also have a chance to win 4 tickets to the Oregon game, courtesy of Nevada Buck. You have to just be a member before July 4th to be entered in that drawing. Those are going to be pretty good tickets, pretty high demand tickets. And so that's just one little extra perk that you get for being a member of BuckeyeScoop.com, a chance to win those. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.